Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our evening with BatteryPop. It's picture time as well. Just to highlight a Thursday, we are celebrating our 10th anniversary, so please join us at Professor Tom's. I promise you the nachos will be plentiful, and it's the #1 nacho joint in the city, which is why I picked it. Then on December 4th, we're really festive. We're having our holiday party, so we're going to go from a party tonight to a party next week, and then again on the 4th to celebrate this year in CMA. And then, speaking of parties, after the event tonight, anyone who's around and has some time, we're going to meet for a drink at Mustang Sally's, which is basically right below us. So please feel free to join us, network a little bit longer, and extend your time. But without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to announce Kristen McGregor. We have been very fortunate for the last year to have Kristen McGregor as an event coordinator, and she runs all of our writers' workshops, and has taken on some amazing projects, and I'm really looking forward to the event she's proposed for next year, but more on that soon. In the non-CMA real world, Kristen is an independent producer, and she's half of the Squirrel Friends Collective, and they just finished shooting their first show for TV Ontario. And then she's also a freelance director for Radical Chic. Yep. And she has graciously offered to host tonight because Squirrel Friends has a number of shows on BatteryPop. So it seemed like the perfect connection. So I'm going to hand this over to Kristen.
Oh, thank you. Hi, guys. Thanks for being here. It's so nice to have so many people. And Greg and I already met, and we had such a great conversation. And I'm so glad that we could all be here. And if you guys really want, there's some seats in the front, and you can come up and get closer if you want.
Spit when I talk, so.
Or I was saying you can sit on the stairs like the kids in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Look at this, Craig! Woo! So first off, it seems to me like BatteryPop, when you go around to any event in our industry, BatteryPop is always on the tip of the tongue, like, oh, great pitch, have you heard of BatteryPop? What's BatteryPop? This is BatteryPop. Like, it's this kind of word that we're hearing over and over again. And really what I was hoping to do with tonight is kind of uncover the mysteries of BatteryPop. And it's dangerous to open batteries, but
Acidic.
a little bit. We'll see how it is tonight, right? So
all be warned.
Exactly. And so it seems like we have like a range of people tonight, like from independent producers that want to get their stuff on BatteryPop, that want to test drive an idea. There's people that are looking to maybe get a job with BatteryPop, intern with BatteryPop, and there's also lots of people from the academic world that might be interested in how BatteryPop can contribute to their ideas and bridge that gap between industry and academia, which I know David Kleeman is definitely interested in. So first off, Greg, who are you?
Hi, I'm Greg. Wasn't it? Yeah, so I founded BatteryPop 2 years ago. I've been at Nickelodeon for 12 years as a writer and producer in the on-air promos department. 12 years is a long time. I had an amazing time. I loved it there, but I felt like it was time for something new. And I also was starting to shifting, and there was just this great opportunity in the digital space to start connecting with kids. And having been at a traditional linear network for so long, I realized, well, there's a lot of things that we're not trying that I would like to take a shot at. So with a friend of mine, Tasso, who's not here tonight, but when he ended up being my co-founder in BatteryPop, we came up with the idea for an online kids network. Initially, Tasso and I said, okay, we're going to just produce 5 to 10 web series all by ourselves, throw them up on a network, and it'll be that simple. Then we decided to take a look at what the numbers would be on that, did a little cost-benefit analysis, and we said, okay, we need $800,000 to make 25 episodes of 5 different concepts. And okay, let's see how much money we can make off of that. If we get this many views and this much exposure and this and that, we will make $5,000. Okay, this is not going to work. So we shifted our thinking a little bit, and one of the things that we had noticed, well, first of all, the kid audience was starting to migrate into the digital space rapidly. There was just so much going on online. Kids are all over the place. But when we looked around, we couldn't find a safe, engaging place for kids to go and find great videos. We knew that they were going to YouTube, but we'll get back to YouTube later because it's a very interesting part of the story. But currently on YouTube, you usually let it click away from something inappropriate, comment that doesn't feel right, a recommendation that is not what you thought it was going to be. It didn't feel like it was really a kid-safe environment, and I think over the past couple of years, we've all realized that there's just a lot of sketchy stuff there, and it's hard to filter out what works for kids and what doesn't. Going back to the idea of content creation, coming from Nickelodeon, we also knew of a lot of creators who have been making great content, but couldn't get it onto Nickelodeon, or they would put it up on YouTube and it would disappear. So we have a lot of creative minds doing great stuff that's not getting in front of kids. We figured, okay, the kids are coming, the creators need a place to reach kids. Let's put it all together, and that was really the genesis of BatteryPop, a safe, engaging platform for kids' video content, where creators can actually get in front of kids, where kids can come and watch great content without being worried about what's next. It's curated, it's premium, it's a fun experience, hopefully for all kids and all parents. That's where we are.
So with that, you brought some videos. Let's see them.
Yeah, so there's we got a bunch of videos.
Which one do you want?
Let's do the Alex one, which is the demo. Alex Suarez is a girl that we've cast in a number of spots for BatteryPop. She's just a very sweet, fun girl, and she talks a little bit about what BatteryPop is. Let's see this.
Hey there, I'm Alex, and this is BatteryPop, the brand new online and mobile network exclusively for kids. What does that mean? I'll show you. BatteryPop has great online videos that I love. Cartoons, music, web series that are totally random. Oh hey, random cool girl with her own web show. And there's none of that creepy stuff that other websites recommend. Whoa, don't go there. And the best part is, BatteryPop puts kids in charge. So if you like a video, you can pop it, share it with your friends, even create your own channel. And there's something new every day. So check it out, it's totally different, totally safe. Awesome sauce, it's BatteryPop.
And then there's the black and white one. There's another spot that we made to kind of tell our story to creators who are trying to get some exposure in the industry, but they're just starting out. They've hit a couple of walls, and tells our story on that side.
Hi, I'm John Kluffer, author of the Action Act Mega Creepy Book Series and Zombie Chase. In these super slimy stories,
Sorry.
his friends take on some.
You want the, oh, so I'm sorry, the black and white one.
A brand new kids network is taking the world by storm, and kids and creators everywhere are rejoicing. In New York, this brave animator made a short of their own movie and the warm-up. Center Network said no. 35,000 kids said yes, thanks to BatteryPop. But what is BatteryPop? A cross-platform kids network, a creator-driven experience, a viewer feedback mechanism, a really good idea. Johnny finally had a pitch accepted. He poured his heart, his soul, even his own money into it. But by the end, the network went in a different direction. Did he ever show that? No. Did any kids ever see it? No. Oh, Johnny. Research shows that kids know what kids like. So what should you do if you want to hit your kids? Put your show on BatteryPop. Let real kids tell you what they think. Get thousands of fans. Make some money. It's a network with leverage. Coast to coast, creators can make the content they want, and BatteryPop will bring it to kids. And no matter how long your show is on BatteryPop, it's always yours. So don't give up your great ideas, and don't get lost in a sea of feline fanaticism. Oh look, there's Sally. She's smiling. Why? Because her show is a hit with kids on BatteryPop.
So those are, do you want to show one more, or you, well, we can wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to the zombies later, guys. So let's start, oh guys, come on. Okay, so let's start like where you were before. So take us back to when you were working at Nickelodeon. And you told me that amazing story about how
I got hired.
yeah. So like let's go from there.
Okay.
And
Yeah, so 1999, I had been working as a PA on independent films. Wasn't getting paid for anything. The movies weren't getting made. They weren't getting into theaters. They weren't even getting out of the can. It was just mess after mess. And so I was kind of between gigs, and I was taking a film class at the new school. And I made a friend in that class who was a VP at Nickelodeon. He was teasing me for being unemployed and said, "Okay, Nick." I said, "Get me a job." A week later, she got me an interview. Now, I don't know how I did in that interview. It wasn't such a fantastic interview. The day I interviewed, one of the PAs got fired because he stole a VCR and a DVD player to pay for heroin. Sounds like right? Now, Y2K was coming up, and it was concerns kind of explode. So all this work had to get backed up, and they had this mountains and mountains of tape that all had to be, back then we had the big giant D2s, and everything had to be duplicated and filed and cataloged. And this guy gets fired right in the middle of this, Y2K freakout. So the guy that I'm interviewing with was like, "Well, we have an opening, and we need you for 6 weeks." And I got hired. And the day that I started, when I was getting a tour of the floor, they were literally pulling syringes out of my desk. And his dealer called me like 5 times. And he said he had donuts for me, and I didn't know what donuts were. I'm like, "Oh my God, they have breakfast here, where is it?" But yeah, those 6 weeks turned into 12 years. It was a really good fit. It was an amazingly fun place to work, and I feel like Nickelodeon is a great starting place for anyone getting into the kids industry. You meet all kinds of amazing creative people. You get exposed to all different parts of the business. But the crazy thing for me switching from working at Nick to doing BatteryPop was I had a very specific role at Nickelodeon. I was the writer when I left as a writer for on their promos. Doing a startup, you're handling all the roles, or you're working with everyone who's handling those roles. Now going out to buy, if I need a pencil, it's not the supply cabinet.
right.
It's a trip to Staples, it's the receipt I have to save and log. It's a very different experience, but I learned so much about the kids industry and the people that you work with in the kids industry that I think Nickelodeon really set me up to take this next step and try something new.
Right. So when you were at Nickelodeon, what kind of started the idea? You're the writer for all the promos. You have this great job, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna leave this job and start something completely new. And what was kind of the impetus for that?
Well, I think it was either 04, 05, I was on a team called Super Bumpers, and we were tasked with making, rather than just traditional navigational promos, tune in tomorrow for a brand new SpongeBob, these were kind of like, just go do something creative, make it fun, keep kids interesting over the commercial break. Here's a budget, it's not much, now go win some awards. And we had an amazing team, including Tasso, myself, and a bunch of really fantastic producers with this really vibrant, unexpected short-form content. That lasted about a year, and then they realized, oh my God, the ratings are dropping. One of the several times the ratings had an issue. We got to get back to just telling kids when to tune in and why. So we stopped doing Super Bumpers, but we had the taste for it. It was just really fun to be that creative.
Right.
So that got me thinking in my head, okay, this kind of content works for kids. Kids really like these short bursts. And we hadn't really gotten into the concept of the web series yet. YouTube was just becoming a thing, but it was clear that it was resonating with kids. So I knew that format had an opportunity to live outside of Nickelodeon. Then when things were kind of a little shaky as far as the ratings, then when I got the kids all going online, what do we do? I said, well, I'm going to go online too. So it was 12 years was a long time, and I was very happy there. It was tough to leave my friends and that kind of a lifestyle, but the opportunity just seemed so exciting that I would have kicked myself and at least give it a shot.
So what was it like, you leave Nick and you're now Greg from BatteryPop? What was it like at the very beginning of this? I guess the reason I'm asking is there's people in this room where, it crosses your mind you know what, I don't want to do that. I want to do my own thing. I want to be an entrepreneur. What's it like?
It's lonely. It was weird. I mean, all of a sudden I had nowhere to go. was working from home. I have 2 kids. At that point, I just had 1. But she saw me home and figured, oh, Daddy's home. Here's a jungle gym I can climb on. And I couldn't get anything done. I tried the public library, which is great because it's free Wi-Fi. But every once in a while, I'd have a homeless person sitting on my arm, and I couldn't type with that arm because I didn't want to wake him up. He's a very nice guy. Coffee shops, the Wi-Fi would buy. Like it was, I was working from home. Tasso was working from home. We weren't getting a ton done, and then finally, all right, we need a space. So we went down to Sunshine Suites, and we took out just a couple of desks, and that's when things started getting productive. We had like a home base. We started building. We found a developer. We've been to the early website early, and we just dove into it. We started reaching out to every creator that we knew at the time and saying, "Hey, we're doing this thing. We're just looking for great content. You want to share it? We're not looking to take your rights. We're not looking to control it. We just want to put it in a safe place for kids. Are you interested?" And almost immediately, people start saying yes. And next thing you know, we start building our library. And I'm like, oh my God, this can happen. There's a real opportunity here. People like what we're doing. They want to give us shows. And it was amazing how quickly that part of it took off.
And so then, like, when you first started, like, you probably had the question of, like, how are you different from every other platform out there? Like, my kid's going on YouTube. Like, why should they go on BatteryPop? Like, how do you answer that question that you must get all the time?
Right. There's a couple things that, there's the YouTube question, and then there's other players in the space that we're attacking right now. With YouTube, obviously, there are the safety issues. The YouTube video player is not COP compliant, so it's doing a little tracking. The advertisements that come up aren't necessarily what a kid should be watching. There's also very little curation, and it's just all over the place. So what we provide is kind of our unique perspective, having the Nickelodeon background. Several of us are parents now on the team. Having a sense of what kids are into and being able to curate what we think is going to work, and then hopefully getting the feedback from kids directly to let us know what's going to work. Right. The idea is that kids are in charge of what's popular in BatteryPop, so we'll be able to continue to curate and make the content even more appropriate to what the kids are looking for because we're getting that feedback directly from kids. As far as other platforms that are doing what we're doing, there's a lot of ways to approach the kid space, and at least at this point, one of the things that I pride myself in is that we have a personal relationship with every content creator. That's a short or a web series or a music video. Whether or not that will scale up down the road, if we do ever become this gigantic organization, I don't know, but right now, I feel like we have these relationships, and that's a big part of what we're trying to build is a creative-friendly platform where if you need feedback, if you want to know why something is working, if you want to know why it's not, if you want to know why you're not on the homepage, like we can have that conversation.
Right.
So I'm hoping that there's that personal touch, which for creators makes us interesting. And then for kids and families, it's that curation and that sense of really being on top of what kids are into these days.
Well, definitely, I think for creators, like even just like when we were, negotiating, it was like, as an independent producer, you're never like, oh, you can keep all your rights, you can do this, you can do that. Like, it's just very interesting how open you guys were to a lot of stuff. Like you make it very amenable to independent producers, and I think that that's really neat.
Yeah, I mean, so Jay Silverman is our manager of content, and he's the one who sends out most of the contracts that we have with creators. And I would say that if we have, if there are 100 different creators on site right now, there's 100 different contracts. And we try to craft it so that it works for the creator. Will that backfire on us one day? I really hope not. But we want to make sure that we're not putting you in a situation where like, oh my God, I just gave my show to BatteryPop and I'm not happy. This needs to work for the person that put their heart and soul into making that content so that the opportunities that can arise from BatteryPop don't have obstacles in front of them.
And the other thing that I would also say is like, especially like being around the markets and stuff, like, every kid screen, there's all these amazing shows that are out there being pitched, and, a few get picked, a few go to become, the next SpongeBob's, right? But there's all these great ideas that are, like you might have a pilot shot for it or something, or, even a great student film, like you're pouring your heart and soul into it, and you do want a resting place for these things that you're making. And what I really like about BatteryPop is that it becomes that, like, and it's like, it's another outlet for you as a creator. And the thing that I'm really excited about is the ability to get metrics and analytics from kids. And do you want to maybe talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, the reason that, again, said this, but the reason that we call it
Yeah.
BatteryPop is because kids are in charge of what's popular. So the idea is that kids can actually engage with the content, give feedback in a productive way so that the creator is benefiting. It's not just click and watch, it's going to be click and engage. Watch a video, you know, the pop is already there, the pop it or drop it. If you like it, you're going to pop a show, and that's a simple voting mechanism. We're about to be adding in pop quizzes where creators can work with us to craft 5 questions, not right or wrong questions, just like what do you think about when the show goes into outer space versus underwater? Oh, you hate the underwater episodes? You love the outer space episodes? Okay, now it's an outer space show. So trying to make kids our development executives in a sense, letting them be the ones who guide your creative content to a point where it's what they want to see. And by doing that, we're trying to turn viewers into fans.
And I mean, Amazon is doing that very similar approach.
They stole it from us, yeah.
Well, and I mean, like, I really do feel like this is the, you know, where the industry is eventually heading. Like, you know, there's no reason that kids can't be the development executives.
To me, that's what's missing from, and look, TV development is a very specific thing. And there's a lot of money behind it, and it's a slow process, and it can be exhilarating or it can be painful. But what it doesn't involve, for at least for the kids networks, is kids. There may be a focus group here or there, but there are a lot of kids with a lot of different opinions, and it doesn't get open up to the audience that it's intended for.
Right.
So our thinking was, why don't we let kids really get involved at that stage?
And then from, like, let's say, like, a more researcher side or academic side, like, how do you know that those kids are the kids that they say they are? Like, you know, that sort of a thing. Like, you can get metrics and analytics, but how do you know that, you know, it is a 10-year-old girl?
Right. I mean, that's a challenge, I think, for any website trying to get people to register. Is anybody could be anybody. We can talk about, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a piece of, so
Bring it up.
talk about KPass.
Yeah.
Dan Nelson is the founder of KPass.
And maybe just like COPPA and KPass, just for people that might not know.
Sure. So everyone in this room is probably very familiar with what COPPA is, right? It's Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. It means that we can't collect or share personally identifiable information from any kids who come onto our site, nor do we want to. The original sign-up mechanism that happened in BatteryPop was you choose an adjective and a noun, and that becomes your username. You give us gender and age, and that's all we asked. We wanted to take it a step further because we do want to start getting a better sense of who's using the site, but we don't want to pull with information. So we're working with Dan's company, KPass, to have parents verify kids when they sign on.
Right.
So right now, you don't have to sign on to BatteryPop. You can just come on and watch videos galore. But if you want to make your own channel, if you want to start accessing some of the other features we're going to introduce, like the pop quizzes, hopefully chats with creators, and also if you want to now use the YouTube player, we're going to put that behind KPass as well. We're now asking you to sign up and have a parent confirm that you are that kid and that the parent is okay with you doing these things on BatteryPop.
Right.
We don't get any of that information. All we're still going to get is a username, a gender, and an age. KPass has got all kinds of protections and encryptions on their back end. They keep that information to themselves. We won't ask for it. We don't need it.
Right.
We just want to make sure that we have a sense of who's watching what, so that we can say to a creator, 10-year-old girls love your show, 8-year-old boys are watching 10 seconds and turning it up.
Right.
So hopefully with KPass now installed, we can start getting better metrics than we were, because we'll be able to really get a sense of who's using it. We need to incentivize kids to sign in, because right now so much of it's free anyway. We've got to start rolling out these other features. But I think over time that will be a nice part of making sure that it's safe and engaging for all users.
Awesome. And Dan, do you want to put your hand up?
That's Dan.
Just if you guys want to talk to Dan after, that's him. And so I guess the question where I want to bring everybody now is when it was announced that we were doing this together, the one burning question everybody had was, how do they make money? How does BatteryPop make money? And you know, it's interesting for everybody to kind of hear, especially in the realm of entrepreneurial startups.
Right.
And so how do you make money?
So first of all, we'll get there.
Yes.
You know, as you know, we don't have all the answers. This is very much a startup. We're building something. We have a revenue plan, and we've had some revenues. We would like to see these other pieces of the puzzle start working. The one that's right in front of us that we're going to go after first is advertising. We are going to be free and ad supported, which means there's going to be banner ads and there's going to be pre-roll advertising. I don't know what the frequency level is going to be. Our Chief Revenue Officer, Yale Cohn, is here, also Chief Marketing Officer and founder. So advertising is kind of the way that the internet works these days. And I realize that there are parents that are opposed to their kids being exposed to ads, and I understand that. But I also know that the majority of parents like the free aspect of it.
Right.
And that's that balance. Eventually, we will introduce a subscription level. You can pay $3.99 or whatever it's going to be to block the ads. We're not there right now. You know, that's just, it's kind of what we deal with. We also think that there are more interesting ways for brands to engage with kids these days, so it doesn't have to be all dry, buy this, buy that. We work with brands to try to help them create messaging for kids. Because we know the video space, because we know the kids space, we can set up a brand to have a better relationship with their kid viewers if they want to work in video. We set up a branded channel. We just brought on Major League Soccer and HarperCollins to do essentially YouTube channels, but on BatteryPop where they're only surrounded by kids' content. Design's a little bit prettier, and we'll start adding those engagement features as well. And then we also can do custom content for those brands. And I guess this is a good opportunity. Right. We just did a spot for HarperCollins. They have a book series called Zombie Chasers. And first they were intrigued by setting up a channel on BatteryPop. Then when I said, hey, we also do some production, it's not our core business, but we're good at it. Do you want to try something? And they booked us to do a zombification called How to Zombify. So we want to roll that.
It's a little scary.
We just want to see how
yeah.
Hi, I'm John Cutler, author of the action-packed, mega-creepy book series, The Zombie Chasers. In these super slimy stories, Zach Clark and his friends take on some of the nastiest, gnarliest, most putrid zombies the world has ever seen. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't really believe in zombies. Zombies. This isn't sin. My books are fiction. These zombies outside are for real. I'm going to zombify myself and make those zombies think that I'm the man. That should give me enough time to get away. Listen up. You can use these tips in case the zombies attack your town. Step 1, make a scar. Take some non-toxic glue and make it into the shape of a scar, and take ripped up bits of toilet paper and put it onto the glue. Trust me, it's going to look awesomely creepy when we get to the next step. Remember, zombies are undead. So for step 2, cover your whole face and neck with green and brown makeup and make your skin look like rotting flesh. Make yourself look extra filthy and dirty because zombies do not take showers. Step 3, with zombies, eyeballs are the first thing to go. Use dark makeup around your eyes, cheekbones, and the corners of your mouth to get that classic zombie look. This is my favorite part. Step 4, blood and brains. Take a little bit of grape jelly, mix it with some bananas to get that nice squeeze texture. You can taste it too. Step 5, rotten teeth. Remember when I said zombies don't shower? Well, they don't brush their teeth either. For that undead, unhygienic smile, I'm going with chocolate syrup.
Leave like 8 takes of that.
And there you go, full zombification, and just enough time to take a zombie selfie. For more on how to battle zombies and save the world from these flesh-eating freak shows, check out my series, The Zombie Chasers. Wish you luck.
Super cool.
So our zombie makeup artist is here, Candace.
Hey.
She introduced the grape jelly bananas technique. Sweeping the nation, I think.
So what's your crew like? Like, let's say somebody's, now commissioning you to make branded content. Like, what is, a typical crew like for that?
We brought on, I don't know if anybody remembers You Pick Live, which was on Nickelodeon 5 to 7 for a couple of years. Brent Popolizio has his own production company called Durable Goods. So we worked with them. He put together the whole crew. Tasso did the graphics and the effects. Our writing staff wrote the script. I wrote the script.
Man of many hats.
If Harper Collins was watching it, the writing staff wrote the script. But we come from creative backgrounds. It's fun to get involved in creative when we have the opportunity to do this kind of thing. It's great. Last year for the Ouya gaming console, which was this Kickstarter new video game platform, we did a number of different animations for them. We just got a bunch of friends playing with the Ouya, and then Tasso and this other animator, Kelmy, drew over it. It's this really cool, like, shaky animation style. It looked great. So it's great when we get to do that. As we go along, it's not going to be Tasso and I working on those projects, but now every once in a while, if we can just get our feet up, it's fun.
Right.
So we also, let me just add to that.
Sorry.
Because we're working with so many amazing creators, we also go out and pitch the creators whose shows we have on BatteryPop as options to work with for a brand.
That's very
So, hey, we've got a show called Pencilmation. You really like that style. Let's connect you with Ross, who does that. You love these Lego animations that Marc-Andre Caron does out of Quebec. Well, we can connect with him and we can do a spot for Adidas in that style. So we are constantly pitching our creators to brands and saying there's so many different ways you can approach kids' content, and we've got some amazing people that, this time around it may not cost you an arm and a leg because they're still up and coming.
Right. And then you also mentioned venture capital.
I'd like some.
Does anybody have some?
Can you all go through your pockets real quick?
Please, we'll be going around. No.
So we're privately funded. We are going out for a seed round, whether it's VC money or angel money, depends on what the interest is, what kind of term sheets we get, who we want to work with. I'm heading out to Silicon Valley next week to start meeting with some investors, and I'm hoping that opens the door to some interesting investing partners. We would like to be working with investors who have a love of the space, whether it's digital video media or whether it's the kids space. We're not beggars yet, so I don't want to say beggars can't be choosers. I think we have an opportunity to connect with the right people and try to bring on people that can really help push us to the next level. We'll see how it goes. I mean, we're literally, like, that process is starting now, so I'm happy to share with everybody how whether or not it works out. I guess you'll find out rather quickly, because if we do a great round, we'll announce it, and if not, we'll go begging in the streets.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that we're also pushing really hard to start bringing in revenues. Our VP of Ad Sales, John Noley, who lives out in San Diego, is getting in front of a lot of great brands and pitching the whole BatteryPop concept. We represent inventory on a couple other kids and tween websites. So if we sell an ad campaign through, we can also run those ads on fanlala.com, primarygames.com, hoodamath.com. Our content's available on your smart TV apps, a couple other websites, a couple tablet apps. So there's a lot of places where we can help push those ads and reach kids.
Very cool. All right, so what is a day in the life of BatteryPop? Like, there's probably no typical day, because one day you're making zombie faces, and the other day you're asking people for money. So, is there a typical day? Like what's it like?
I don't think I've had a typical day yet. It's after I get Harper to school in the morning, and then I head down to Sunshine Suites. I make a to-do list on the subway of everything that has to get done. And then I look at all the stuff I didn't get done from the day before, because nothing ever takes as long as you think it will. We have our weekly status meeting where we all kind of try to get on the same page. Emma Blackwell, she's our new intern. She comes in Mondays and Wednesdays to help manage the website itself. Maria just joined the team. She's helping look for more content as well with Jay. It's putting together decks for investors. It's putting together pitches for brands. It's making sure that the content that we have in is processed properly and ready to go up on the site. It's talking to creators. There aren't typical days because we're juggling so many things at once that it's, you know, whatever comes flying at me that day, like I'll have my plan of what I think I'm gonna get done, and then the phone will ring,
Right.
and next thing you know,
It's something.
2 hours, or like the other night when, you know, if anyone here's on my contact list for BatteryPop, you got some spam from me. That was 2 hours of figuring out how to not let that happen again. So
Right.
things come flying at us all the time, and we just, you know, we roll with it. We're very much in the weeds. You know, it's tough to step back and say, okay, here's our grand scheme and execute on it, because so many things are going on at once for a small team.
Right.
But there is a vision that we're trying to execute on. And the real goal right now is, you know, it's content, it's audience, and it's brands. And those are the 3 areas where, as long as we hit those 3 subheadings every day, we're moving in the right direction.
Right. Now, so it seems like a lot of your team is here. Like, what, like, how big is the team? Like, what?
We are, I guess, 6 to 8 people, depending on the day of the week.
Right.
Myself, John out in San Diego, Yale and Jay. Gary Schaefer's our developer. He works out of Connecticut. We just brought on a content team. So YouTube is a great place to find content. Vimeo is a great place to find content. We want to keep bringing content in. Jay's been able to bring on basically a web series a week for months now. But we want to keep that going. So Maria and 3 other interns have recently come on to be our content team. And they're scouring the internet looking for whatever happens to be getting more popular on YouTube, great animation on Vimeo. We're trying to define videos as well. You know, we're curating the internet looking for great kids content and trying to bring it all to one place. So it's a lot of watching cartoons.
Right.
Don't mind that part.
That sounds like a fun job.
And they're all, you know, the nice thing is it's all short. We're not spending
Right.
22 minutes and watching one thing. We're watching 11 things in 22 minutes.
Right. That's very cool. And another question that when I was doing this event was another like burning question, like what are the analytics like? Like, I mean, like how many people, how many viewers are coming to your site? Like what's that like today with the understanding that it's growing?
Right. So right now on the website itself, we're getting about 50,000 visits to the site a month. Video streams across the network, so including BatteryPop.com, the smart TV apps, tablet apps, wherever we push it out, it's about 500,000 streams a month. And then the ad network itself, we touch about 5 million unique impressions across the, you know, everything that we represent. We would love for the traffic on BatteryPop.com itself to catch up. It's extremely difficult to market a destination. We haven't spent a lot of money on marketing yet. We focus on partnerships, and we've done some traditional internet advertising. We haven't done a big marketing push.
Right.
But by fanning our content out to these other platforms, we're hoping that we're getting awareness out there as well, and that will start driving more conversions back to us. But you know, because we're also trying to help creators grow their audiences, if you get it on BatteryPop, if you get it on, you know, Tubi TV on your smart TV, if you get it on the Happily app, you're still getting hits.
Right. And
if we're able to monetize there, then you're still making some money as well. So as long as kids are seeing it, we're happy.
Right. And to that, how do we pitch our shows to BatteryPop?
You can email creators@batterypop.com.
Did everybody hear that?
My email's actually a catch-all, so any word that you put in at batterypop.com will get to me.
And he's going to judge you by the word you use. So
Try to be creative on that. So I'll talk a little bit about what we're looking for.
yeah.
Because there's a balance that we do have to achieve. As much as we want to be an open platform, we're not YouTube. We're not anything goes. We are looking for a certain level of production value. We want to be able to say that we're a premium network. I just got back from MIPCOM a couple weeks ago. A year ago, we went out to MIPCOM and I met with the guys from Artman. And there was a web series that I really wanted. I thought we were great, loved what we were doing. He's like, this is going to happen. It's great. So I emailed him a couple weeks afterwards to try to follow up. And he's like, look, I just saw one of the shows that you have on BatteryPop, and I'm not crazy about the quality. I don't think I want to have my show next to that one. So we didn't get the Artman show. And it was a tough moment because I really wanted this open platform where we could support anyone making content. But I realized in order to really connect with audiences, with brands, with high-end creators, we had to have a threshold. So we are looking for completed work, we're looking for well-produced work. It doesn't have to be your magnum opus, but you need to have executed it in such a way that it will interest someone else.
Right.
You know, sound really should be done right. I realize it's tough to make an animated short. That's hard work.
Right.
And I understand that there's a process and there's expense to that, but we do want to make sure that we are providing a premium experience for our viewers. So it can't just be an anything goes network. We do look for certain, either it's something that's a trend that's blowing up on YouTube, and even though they might not have the brilliant production quality, it's definitely locked in something that kids love, or it's executed with heart and professionalism. We'll take a look at everything. We do take a look at everything. And more often than not, we try to find a way to work it in. And then we are going to talk about the generator.
Yeah.
So the incubator.
This is the best thing that I'm most excited about.
So we have, I'm not sure when this is going to launch. It's kind of in the works. But the idea would be that every month we bring on 5 pieces of content that are more in the concept stage, whether it's an animatic or a Bible or or hopefully a pilot. And we'll let kids pick their favorite every month, and that will be the winner of the generator for that month. The way I'd like to see it happen is that we can then back that winner with a small budget to make that pilot or do another episode, whatever it is, and then hopefully get a brand involved so that if we can give $8,000 or $10,000, the brand can match that, and the creator's actually got something to work with.
Right.
So this is where I think we're going to be able to start working with a wider variety of content, and creators who don't necessarily have the resources to send us that perfectly constructed pilot or that short film that they've always dreamed of and actually got done.
Right.
So it's hopefully going to open up the playing field even further. It's very hard to get something done the way that you envision it. Harder still to get it done and then find out that kids didn't dig it. So at least this way, we're hoping that kids can give you that feedback so you know what you got to do with it. And since you got the vote, you'll have a little bit of money behind it to make it.
Right.
We'll see if that works. I mean, this is still in the concept phase. Jay's gone through a lot of content. He's like, well, this isn't really good for us now, but it's perfect for the incubator, for the generator. So, I'd like to get that up and running pretty soon, because I think it's a nice way to engage a wider variety of creators.
And speaking of Bibles, you're not like, if I have a great Bible, are you interested in seeing that?
There's not much I can do with it right now.
Right.
We're not backing originals at this point. I'm also finding that Bibles don't necessarily tell me that it's going to be a great show. I'd like to see that the creators have proven that they can turn that Bible into something.
Right.
I'm happy to give feedback on Bibles, but it's not enough at this point for us to say, okay, we're going to divert some of our resources into creating this. A Bible is an important step in the process, but we are looking for that next step where you've actually gone ahead and found a way to make something that represents it so that we can see that the creator knows how to bring it to life, that they're the right creator to bring it to life.
Right.
Because you could have a great idea, but if you don't have the team to execute it, or if you don't have the resources to execute it, it's just going to stay an idea. So can you turn it into that, into something special?
Right. And let's talk about like when we were talking, like you'll see in Bibles, like somebody will show up with a Bible and a stuffed animal.
Right.
And but not the show. And kind of speak about that, or like a gazillion, ideas for the apps and stuff like that. Like, are you able to kind of comment on?
Yeah. So I mean, this is not necessarily. I'm not a TV executive. I run a website where we're just trying to get some traction, but I've also come across a lot of pitches, and I've seen a lot of pitches where they say, okay, here's the show, and here are the 18 characters, and here's the toothbrush with this character on it, and here is the PlayStation game where this character goes through this world. And it just, when appropriate, I say to the creator, look, tell me about your main character. All I really care about is your main character awesome?
Right.
Don't worry about whether or not there's these transmedia extensions, because you're not going to be the one doing that anyway. If this is successful and it's picked up, somebody else is going to help you make those games and those apps and those toys and the plush. And focus on making the main character or your main 2 or 3 characters as awesome as possible. It's all about character. And don't get lost in the concept of like, where else you can take this and
Don't put the cart before the horse.
Exactly. Focus on the main character. Make sure you have a cool concept and an amazing character. And if you have that, all those other pieces will fall into place. You don't need to spend the time thinking about that. Just think it's premature. It's a waste of your own brain power. And if your show gets picked up and it's successful, somebody will make that plush doll for you. So, character.
Awesome. And then let's talk about, hey, how can I intern or work for you?
Okay.
Not like me personally, guys, but like there's people. Okay, but there's people in the audience, I'm sure, that are interested in. That was another question: was how do we get a job with BatteryPop? How do we intern for BatteryPop? What's the deal there?
Going to work for a startup is scary because startups die all the time. We believe that we're on the brink of going in the other direction and growing. So we will hopefully be scaling up the staff relatively soon. Again, it depends on how things go with the fundraising. We've got a pretty nimble team right now, but because there's so much going on, I think every area could use a bigger staff.
Right.
I would certainly look at resumes right now and make my pile of someone to get back in touch with.
Where do we send the resumes to? Resumes at BatteryPop?
That works. I want to work for you.
At BatteryPop. Again, he will judge you based on the word you use. So choose one.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to find out who's out there that's interested and start getting a sense of what's going to be available when we have the resources to step up. And hopefully that's very soon. So send them in. I will probably write back and say, hey, thanks so much. I'll let you know when we have something. But it's still nice to know what's going on. And there's a lot of great backgrounds and people that have had amazing experiences. And I'd love to at least know what everyone is doing so I can start figuring out, okay, that piece of their resume really applies to this piece of that and so on.
So get them in, guys.
Nothing in the next couple of months.
But one thing I guess that's really cool from the independent producer side is how approachable you are and how open you are to discussing things and stuff like that. And that's something I do want to point out to everybody here is it's very rare to have a relationship that feels so back and forth. And just a great space to collaborate and work together with. So
I hope that's something that we offer that other brands don't, or I mean, not that I don't want them to, but because I came from a creative space and that's kind of what I thought I was heading towards before we started this. I think having someone to bounce ideas off of who's, I don't have all the answers by any stretch, but I do think that I've seen a lot of stuff, so I can at least give my opinion. And then hopefully pretty soon, it doesn't even matter what I say because the kids will tell you what really works about what you're coming up with and what isn't working.
Right. Now, curriculum. Okay. Where does that fit in the world of BatteryPop?
There is definitely room for educational content. We have a STEM section. It's not the most robust section of BatteryPop yet. When I look, we are first and foremost an entertainment site. And there are platforms that are doing education really well. We'd like to get to that point, but I do look at educational content is what's the entertainment value of it.
Right.
We have this great series from DHX called Umigo. And it's this really nice math series with these 3 characters who sing and dance and talk about basic math concepts. And to me, that's such a great expression of what STEM content could be, because when I'm watching it, I'm just kind of seeing what's going on in the show. The songs are fun. The animation is very done. It has a lot of heart. It has 3 very clearly defined characters. I think that there's more opportunity to get into education down the road as we build up the audience, but it's not our main focus right now. And if a great piece of content comes in that fits the STEM bucket, we'd love to work with it.
But education was never your original purpose.
It's just not my background. We don't have a team that has a curriculum background. One of the reasons that we didn't get right into preschool is because there is that responsibility of having a curriculum there. And we come from Nickelodeon. We're well versed in 6 to 11-year-olds, and we thought, let's just, start bringing on the fun stuff.
Right.
It depends on what comes through the door for us as well.
And fun can be educational, because I'm gonna go put grape jelly on my face tonight.
And bananas.
Yeah, and, oh, don't
Otherwise,
forget.
it's just creepy.
And just a lot of chocolate syrup. Again, just back to your world, what's the best lesson you've learned so far helming BatteryPop?
Okay, work with the right people. I mean, number one, if you don't like who you're working with, it's going to be very difficult. And if you like them and you trust them, you're going to make a lot more progress, and people are going to trust you. I do wish that we had. I do wish that we had a better understanding of tech when we dove into it. I've learned a lot about how all that works, but when Toss and I dove into it, we didn't really have a good sense of what tech was right. We launched a website in October 2012 that looked awesome and was basically useless. And it was a great experience. Yeah, chalk it up to that. I mean, I love the way that it functioned, but there was no way we could scale with it. When the developer explained how it all worked, he said, yes, so don't worry about the spaghetti on the insides. It's happening, and it wasn't. There was no way to kind of. So I wish that I had a better sense of how websites functioned, what the right tech for this kind of project was early on. Should have done more research into that space, but I was excited to get going. Right. And we went, full steam ahead.
Trial by fire. Yeah. Awesome. So always know the spaghetti.
If someone says that the tech is spaghetti, then you probably got a problem.
Yeah, get rid of him. Fire him at BatteryPop.
Brilliant kid.
Okay, so what is so that would be like I was going to ask you like biggest mistake, and I mean probably that.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. Okay, now on the other spectrum, the best joy.
I've gotten to meet so many amazing people. 12 years in Nickelodeon, I became very close with the people that I worked with, but there's a lot going on out here, and I've really just interacted with some fantastic folks from across the spectrum, from creators to tech people to meeting kids and parents, getting exposed, going out to France for MIPCOM and going to Kidscreen, having meetings, with Major League Soccer and HarperCollins, like. We're getting in front of some really interesting people.
Right.
And there seems to be some buzz about BatteryPop, which is great. It's getting us in the door. So it's exciting to have these opportunities to meet and talk to people that I probably wouldn't have come across with my kind of direct focus job at Nick. So that's the best part, just meeting more people. And it's exciting. It's scary as hell. I mean, a startup is like,
I can imagine.
You're just like going out, you're like, shoot me. And we may get shot. Like I'm not, I was here for the Tom Atham event, and he's had a string of successes. I know that CMA spoke at CMA, and she runs Nickelodeon. We're still figuring it out. We believe that we have something really cool here, but we're very much in the weeds right now. We're very much trying to figure out how we're going to make this into this amazing experience for kids, this amazing experience for creators, where we can provide something that isn't being provided yet, or if it is, it's doing it better than everyone else. It's all about having fun.
Right.
And we want the experience of working with BatteryPop or watching shows on BatteryPop to be as fun as possible. And so every time I have another conversation, I'm learning something that I didn't know before. So it feels a little trite, but it really has been the best part. Waking up and not knowing what this conversation may lead to, or that meeting may lead to. It's terrifying and invigorating at the same time.
Awesome. And I guess the last question I'll ask before questions is what's going to be true? Like, I mean, you're all around this industry.
Right.
One thing I'd love to know from you is what you think is going to be true in 5 years in children's media.
I believe in the web series. I really think that, and we're starting to see it with some of the multi-channel networks on YouTube and the great content we're getting in, but I think that is going to become more and more the go-to format for kids' content. TV is going to rule for a long time, but these short snackable bites of content and being able to watch 5 episodes in a short amount of time, or between classes or whatever it is, I think that web series are really going to start becoming a very vibrant, creative format. And we're seeing it already, but I think we're not even scratched the surface of what it could be. Right. As far as whether or not that content works on a TV screen, now that all these screens are merging, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that watching something on your, iPhone is the exact same experience as watching it on the big screen. But
And
that's
who you're
another
watching with too. Yeah.
Right, if you're gonna share it. I think the co-viewing is gonna keep getting, I think parents and kids watching together. When I started at Nickelodeon, it was very much us versus them. We're making content for kids. Parents, you're not invited. We don't care what you think. The millennials came in and that really changed things. Now kids want to be with their parents. They want to watch shows with their parents. So I think that there's co-viewing will continue to expand, and you don't have to segregate your content like that. But there's just a lot of room for creativity in web series that I think we're going to see some really cool stuff coming soon. And, live action versus animation. Animation is always going to be more expensive to make. I know that there's some great new formats. I mean, Toon Boom makes it easier.
Right.
A Flash, I'm not an animator, but there's other ways to produce animation, but I'm also seeing a lot more creativity in the live action space, and I'm hoping to see more merging of animation and live action because the tools are available. So, that's my gut. I don't really.
Well, you gotta trust your gut if you're, Yeah, it's there to trust. So do we have any questions from anybody here? Hi.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Hassenfeld. I was an on-air promoter a decade prior to you.
Nice. They're gonna explore.
My question is, where's your audience finding you, or most successfully? I'm sure you've said a lot of different things, a lot of different gateways, but where do you see the most of your audience?
I think
what's the demo?
Right, 6 to 11, 6 to 12. One day I'd love to have a preschool version of BatteryPop as well. But like I said, we're not really there for reasons. Mostly coming through parents at this point. Our links, we set up like 10 links a month and we fan them out across parenting websites. And that seems to be driving the most traffic right now. Once we start getting more kids to sign in, we'll have a better sense of who the users are. It's my opinion, but hopefully based on some data, that 6 to 8-year-olds want their parents to tell them they're comfortable getting that kind of information from their parents. This is safe for you, go ahead and watch it. 9 to 11, 9 to 12, they want to kind of start discovering it on their own. They want to talk about it at school. They don't necessarily want to be told what to watch. So we do need to figure out how to market to 9 to 11-year-olds to feel like we're a cool place. Like, oh yeah, check out this thing on BatteryPop. But for the 6 to 8-year-olds, I think marketing to parents. We've worked with mom bloggers, we've pushed our links out. That seems to be where most of it's coming from. But we're open to suggestions. If we can double or triple that. So if you have any great ideas, let me know.
I'm curious if you're at liberty to say what your greatest sort of sleeper hit on BatteryPop has been, the thing that you looked at and you said, well, this could either completely fail or everyone could love it. Like, what was that 1 or 2 or 3 things? And then also, again, if you're at liberty to say, what did you think was a surefire hit, went for?
We've got a series called Escape that I really like. It's this really cool sci-fi series that this guy Mike Feuerstein did that we kind of experimented with rolling out an episode a week. We mainly go Netflix or Amazon style. We put them all up at once. With this, we ran 1 week, and it did okay for us. I mean, he himself said the first season wasn't as good as the second and third season, so he was concerned. But it seemed to get some traction. The stuff that we put our links out with, the content where we're actively promoting it, that gets the most traffic because you're getting sent right to those links. So we are kind of participating and driving some of the traffic ourselves. Escape was an example of one where I felt like it actually got a little bit of action itself. I brought on a series, I paid for a series on MIPCOM called Ants that I thought was just really nice traditional animation. I thought that would do well. Now that I'm obsessed with the concept of like character first, this show didn't have a main character, and it's just these cute little ants and these little vignettes, and it didn't really connect the way I thought it would. But because we're still relatively small, I don't have Nickelodeon style data to support that. It's really just kind of seeing what's happening as we put a show up and how many hits it gets.
Any other questions? Back there.
Do you foresee BatteryPop as we move forward becoming more curated in the sense of trying to develop like a voice for BatteryPop, or like a show that is a BatteryPop, like, you know, a show would be like appropriate for Disney but not Nick, or like vice versa? Or do you imagine it being just open to all creators, anything?
Yeah, I have my own creative sensibilities that I feel like probably are in there somewhere. And Jay will go through content, and things that he likes will more likely make it on than other stuff. But I want kids to basically tell us what they want to see more of. So we're open to everything. If kids really gravitate to a certain kind of content, we'll go looking for more of that kind of content. That'll dictate it. But because we want kids to be in charge, we don't want to say, okay, we're this style of network and not that. We just want it to happen organically. Yes, I do think our creative sensibilities will seep in, but hopefully not to that much of an extent that we're blocking great content from making it in. We want all forms. If it's a serious documentary or it's a really goofy cartoon, there's room for it on BatteryPop.
Any more questions? Yep.
Is the major benefit to creators on your platform that they're growing their audience, or do you plan on doing revenue sharing with them when the ads come in the way that you do?
Both. Yeah, definitely both. Most of our rev shares are 50-50. I think that the data will be very helpful, especially as we scale up and we start getting more kids really engaging with the content. There's probably, unless you're in that really, really top tier right now of YouTube creators, those are the people making a ton of money on the internet. Most people aren't. I do think that right now, as the end game for a lot of creators still is getting to television, I think building that audience and getting those metrics and getting information from kids is going to have greater value right now. Hopefully down the road, as the audience online overall grows and our BatteryPop audience grows, it'll still probably be that top tier BatteryPop creators that are making decent money. And then everybody else, if it's just supplemental revenue, it's still something. But hopefully it's helping you get to that next step where you can go to your network and say, I've got this many kids that love my show on BatteryPop. This guy's coming with the Bible, I've got an audience. And that gets you at least through the door.
Like, it seems to me like the real pitch to creators is it's a development workshop where you can take your stuff.
It's an incubator.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you get a finder's fee?
Do we get a finder's fee? So down the road, if BatteryPop really becomes this resource to launch shows to that next level, I'd like BatteryPop to be that level. But yeah, I do think that we're going to look at, if we're going to have a more evolved relationship with the creator and we're taking an active role in helping guide their content, maybe we would want to come on as a co-producer and share in whatever future revenues there are based on how much we were involved in making it what it became and helping it be successful. We don't want to take rights, but if there's an opportunity to really craft something and it's because of BatteryPop, I think down the road as we have the scale and we've harnessed the power of kids, or the catchphrase, maybe at that point we can look into like coming on board and being part of the team.
Awesome.
Kind of an extension of that, though, you say you have good relationships with your creators and you're also sort of working with the brands almost in an agency style. Do you see that evolving into your having a relationship with your creators as a multi-channel network does, with brokering deals when a brand comes and wants to sort of incorporate with them? Because a lot of times creators would like that help.
Yeah, there's a B2B aspect to BatteryPop that we want to keep pushing, which is that because we have styles of that, so that networking the brands with the creators is a big part of what we want to do moving forward, because it helps creators, it helps brands, it'll help brands stand out and find other ways to connect with kids. So yeah, I think that that's going to be a big part of it. The thing about the MCNs, it's interesting. YouTube is about to figure out kids. They've quietly floated, not so quietly floated, that they're going to open up a kid-safe version of YouTube. A lot of MCNs are still, the multi-channel networks right now are still in that gray area. We have a great kid show, but they also represent some not great kid content. Right. So I don't even know if brands really know what to do with, unless you're like, if you're getting PewDiePie, you're golden. But if you're working with some other less popular shows and creators, there's still a risk if you don't really know what you're getting. So at least we feel that we can, because we're curating our content, we're curating our audience, we can help creators and brands connect at the right level.
So you were talking about short form, and you come from a promos world, and I'm a long form producer. I was an old Nickelodeon. I'm a classic producer. But like, would you guys, and you talk about characters and animation, but would you be open to sports and games, particularly branded?
I mean, sports and games, absolutely.
Okay.
We just brought on Major League Soccer as a brand partner.
Yeah.
Yes. Game shows, absolutely. I know that works.
Yeah.
When I talk about character, most of the stuff that we see is narrative. So in that regard, yes, I think character first. But we also are aware that, you know, somebody showing off their closet gets 10 million hits on YouTube. In my opinion, I think the person giving the tour has a personality. There is a character there. But we are open to that kind of format as well. So yeah, I mean, sports is great. Sports is just, you know, kids play sports and they love watching stuff about sports. And video games are a big thing that we want to do more in. And you know, the video game walkthroughs are huge. And the ones that are successful are the ones where the person guiding you through themselves is a real character. You know, it's not just like turning on Minecraft and playing, it's turning on Minecraft and commenting on it. But yeah, I mean, I think that because we're not a linear format, you know, it's really on demand. So we're after
And also when you talk about, you know, branded content and working with brands, and I think that parents feel a lot better if it's sports, for example, like, you know, because it's a good thing for your kids, not just buy our shoes, but
we'll be careful to make sure that it's clear that this is branded and that this is brought to you by a sponsor. But I also think that we still can, you know, we can help create content that feels like, well, this is what I like. When I was at Nick at Night, I was the head writer for creative advertising, and you know, we would have to do a project for Holiday Inn. We didn't do how do you stay at a Holiday Inn or where are the best Holiday Inns. We did how to survive a road trip with your little brother in the back seat, brought to you by Holiday Inn. You pick up on the brand attributes. Pete? Pete? So your little brother? You know, it's finding a creative way to bring in the brand, but also make it more about a story, and then being very upfront. This is still advertising.
Right, and so that's really neat to hear that you will make that distinction, because I think that that's often a concern with like parents, especially like how to make sure kids know the difference between.
The rules on TV don't necessarily technically apply online yet, but that doesn't mean we should be doing it anyway.
Right.
So, you know, on TV, you have to have a bumper for kids between the programming and the commercials, so if a kid doesn't think that they're watching a part of the show, we need, you know, we're looking for our ways to do the same thing, so it's very clear.
Right. Any more questions? All right.
Cool.
All right. Well, we are going to continue the evening with BatteryPop. We're all going to go to Mustang Sally. It's a bar.